Hi everyone, my name is Matt B. I'm the cybersecurity analyst at Durham District School Board, along with my colleague Chris, and we're going to be talking about password hygienes, the do's and don'ts for secure and memorable passwords.
So why strong passwords are critical? First, many of the things we do these days lives online, from banking, email, social media. All these platforms holds a lot of your personal information that bad actors wants to get a hold of. The reality is you don't want anyone getting access to your accounts, private messages, or financial information. A strong password is the first and most effective layer of protection to keep unauthorized users out and protect your personal data. Second, same thing is true for your work accounts. These accounts usually connect to internal systems, documents, and other sensitive information of an organization. One weak password can open doors to bad actors, putting both organization and other people's personal information at serious risk. Next is it makes it harder for attackers to steal your identity and money. Hackers love easy wins, so if someone can gain access to your account, they can pretend to be you, open accounts in your name, or even attempt to drain your finances. And lastly, hackers aren't just sitting there guessing your passwords one by one. They use automated tools that goes through millions of weak passwords in seconds. Having a strong password is crucial to prevent these automated attacks from working. So what are some of the common mistakes people make when creating passwords? Well, first is using weak or simple passwords like password is a password or 123456. These are the first ones attackers usually try, and using automated tools, as mentioned before, they can break them easily. The same thing goes with reusing passwords everywhere. This one gets a lot of people all the time, thinking it's more convenient, not knowing that it puts them in a lot of risk, especially with the number of breaches happening. And just in the last year alone, if one site you use gets compromised, attackers will try the same password everywhere else. For example, a password that you use for a pizza app should never be the same one that you use for your email, social media, banking apps. And later on, I'll show you a tool that you can actually use called Have I Been Pwned to check whether if your email or your password has been part of a previous breach. Next is using personal information in your password. Things like birthdays, pet names, and anniversaries are extremely easy for attackers to guess. They can pull these information straight from your social media, public records. If anyone can learn it just by scrolling through your Instagram or Facebook, then you shouldn't be really using it as your password. Lastly, writing passwords down, leaving passwords on sticky notes in notebooks is basically giving anyone who finds it full access to your accounts. If someone comes across it or you misplace it, then the security to your account is instantly gone. These are the top 10 most commonly used passwords in Canada. First one is admin, second 123456, and as you can see, number 4 is password. These passwords are extremely easy to break, and later on Matt's actually going to be showing a demo of how easily some of these passwords actually gets cracked. These are some of the headlines just in the last year alone, where there's been billions of emails, accounts, and passwords that have been exposed in data breaches. This is why you should never reuse the same password in all of your accounts in any platforms. So now I'm going to show you a tool called Have I Been Pwned, where we're going to check for an email address to check whether if it's been part of a previous breach before. Here, we're using this example test at example.com. As you can see, there's been 235 breaches that it has been part of. More recently, in November 2025, called Operation Endgame 3.0, where email address passwords have been compromised. Here, in October 2025, MyVidster has exposed email address, profile photos, and usernames. And lastly, from this application called Prosper, where date of birth, credit status, email address, employment status, government issued IDs, income levels, all have been part of a previous breach before. So now I'm going to pass it to Matt, who's going to talk about creating a strong and memorable passwords.
Okay, thanks Chris. So I'm just going to start off by talking about password creation, some of the do's and don'ts. So to start, you're going to want to get used to passphrases. and mixing uppercase, lowercase, numbers, and symbols in your passwords. Ensure your password length is at a minimum 12 characters long, but it's always the longer the better. Some of the don'ts is using character substitutions. I'll explain a little bit more about that momentarily, along with subsequent letters and numbers. And along with the substitutions, I will also demonstrate why that's a bad practice. And just to touch on what Chris already talked about, was storing passwords in plain text, written down or in your Notes app, is also a poor practice. So there is a tool called Password Monster that I will show you in just a second. I just want to advise you that you should not use your own password if you're going to try this exercise yourself. Maybe a previous password that you've used or something maybe you're considering. So the website here, Password Monster, will show you how long it takes for an attacker to crack your password. So if you recall, the number 10 most common password of Canada in 2025 was password with a capital P. And so I will type that in here, and you will see that takes 0 seconds to crack. So if you think maybe let's do a substitution, so replace the A with an @ symbol and the S with the dollar signs and the O with a 0, that also remains 0 seconds. And this is because hackers already take this into account when trying to guess your password. So if you think maybe let's add some numbers in, like 1, 2, 3, subsequent numbers, you'll see that it's also 0 seconds. And then maybe ABC, we get to 0.01 seconds. So this subsequent letters and numbers practice is also negligible in terms of a hacker's eyes. Password phrases are important because they can be long and easy to remember. And so the example we have for you today is we are so excited to share strong password tips and tricks. So that's a lot to type into your accounts. And so if you use a tip like taking the first letter of each one of those words in that passphrase, that password doesn't mean anything to someone maybe eavesdropping over your shoulders. And so it still remains a secure password. So if we type this password into our Password Monster, you will see the following. So here is the first letter of each one of those words in that passphrase. It takes about 11 months for an attacker to crack. So in the next steps, let's say we add a number in it, so maybe 67, and then also let's pick a symbol, so let's do dash. So now we've turned a easy to remember password into a password that takes 35 million years to crack. And all you need to remember is your passphrase, a number, and a symbol. And you meet all the password requirements here with 13 characters. So the reason for these tips is to create one super strong password that you can easily remember to unlock the rest of your passwords using a password manager. So if you're going to take away anything from this presentation, is that one super strong password can be used to unlock your password vault. And you'll see that we have some suggestions here for free password managers, and you can use that to unlock your password for your Domino's app or your banking account. And so when you combine all that together, along with multi-factor authentication, you are essentially securing yourself. And so multi-factor authentication is, as an example, receiving a one-time passcode to your phone number or your email, but what we recommend is an authenticator app like Microsoft Authenticator. So thank you so much for listening, and stay cyber safe.
If you enjoyed this video, click the link on screen to see another about education, technology, and generative AI at the DDSB. Or find the playlist in the description below for a list of all videos from our Control Alt Educate series.